Creative Magic Club. What's up? This is Sarah Mack and welcome to Creative Magic Club. Together we'll discover inspirational stories of creative entrepreneurs living out their dreams, doing the work they are most passionate about, and building wealth in magical and fun ways. While building a six-figure income as a writer and coach, helping other women to launch their dream businesses, I've connected with so many incredible people and seen it proven again and again that you can thrive financially doing whatever it is you are passionate about. I am here to share life-changing strategies for mindset, making money, and reaching more people with your work in a business and life filled with creativity, freedom, and fun. Hi, Sarah Mack here from withsarahmack.com and welcome to training number 2 in my 5-day special free training series, Cosmic Attraction Copywriting, where I'm sharing some really, really powerful nuggets to help you write a sales post for your soulmate client using your astrology chart. So if you didn't already listen to training number 1, skip back and listen to that one because I shared the mindset switch that takes my clients from feeling confused about their content or not feeling fully safe to share their story online to making sales more easily and naturally than ever before. And in this training today, we're going to dive into one of my absolute all-time favorite aspects of your astrology chart to look at. I love looking at this in my clients because it gives me so much information to help me help them to tell stories that are going to attract clients who are going to love working with them, who are going to be easy to sell to you because they're so excited to work with you because of who you are. And, using this placement to inspire our storytelling in our marketing content really allows us to unlock a new level of depth in your storytelling that will allow you to build trust 10 times faster with the clients who are genuinely a very aligned fit to work with you and really make you stand out. This is why I love using astrology to inspire our content and our content topics and marketing, because the key to successful marketing is standing out. And the way we stand out is by being unique. And the way we are unique is by telling the truth of our story. Every single person is different. We all, no matter how many other people we see out there doing very similar work to us, everybody's different. We're all special little snowflakes. And, even if it feels like you're doing something very similarly to maybe like other teachers and mentors that you've studied under or other people you see out there doing it, who you are is what makes the way you do it different. So this is how we attract people who want to work with us over, all of those other people that we compare ourselves to. And it took me a long time for this to really sink in. And that used to be in my head all the time. And I used to self-sabotage and be like, well, I just can't really fully get behind this message because it feels like the same as my mentor. And why would somebody work with me when they could work with her? And then I remembered how many times I've worked with people and I've known who their mentors were, and I didn't want to work with their mentors because they didn't resonate with me. And it was who that particular person was that made me want to work with that person. And I just think this is so important to remember, that no matter how many similarities you see when you're comparing yourself to other people, you are very, very, very different. And really getting into the depths and the specifics of our stories is the thing that makes it really obvious to our clients who are out there looking to work with somebody like us because of who we are. So this particular placement is your Chiron placement. So Chiron is actually an asteroid and it's not considered a planet, but it's known as the wounded healer. So I'm going to share with you how this particular placement in your chart is going to help you to get clients. Hopefully you have your chart pulled up. If you don't, go to astro.com. You'll need your birth time, birthplace, and birth date. And I personally like to look at both my whole signs chart and my Placidus chart, but honestly, it doesn't matter which chart you're looking at. Wherever you are on your journey with astrology, just get a chart, whichever one you can get your hands on. It doesn't matter. Find out where your Chiron placement is. Know that it can change from chart to chart, but that's okay. Start with one, right? Just baby steps. And then if you get to next level of nerd, you can look into some of the many other different types of astrology charts that are available. And just start where you are and really pay attention to the insights that come through for you. Remember, this is a tool for self-reflection. So the most important thing are the self-reflections, the ideas and the inspiration that is sparked through this tool and through using this lens to look at yourself. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is a rule. Everything is open to personal interpretation. So really pay attention to, where you are drawn and what resonates for you. So Chiron represents the wounded healer. And this is all about understanding the deep personal transformation that we're going through in our lifetime. And the reason why I find this such a powerful placement to understand with regards to our brand storytelling and message is because it highlights the core themes of your work as a leader. And it kind of gives a little bit of an explanation around why you feel so called to do the work that you're doing. And also why you're so well equipped to help others because of what you've walked through and the expertise and wisdom that you've embodied as a result of the challenges that you have faced over and over and over again in your lifetime. So storytelling around these topics, it brings depth, it brings authenticity, it brings humanness. And Chiron placements are all about our collective wounds. Every single person has a Chiron placement on their chart. And I remember when I first discovered this placement and what all of the different placements represent, it kind of, made me connect to the fact that we're all human. Like everyone's going through shit in some regard or another, and everybody has a different wound, but we all have that Achilles heel and that one place in life where we're like, oh, this is just so hard for me. And those lessons that we keep coming up against again and again and again that hurt. That's what a wound is. It's that painful place. And I think so very often, especially for me, in the beginning of really starting to work on myself and pay attention to my emotional healing and, the parts of me inside that were like banging for attention, like banging on the door for attention, that I tried to be, suppress and ignore and push down my entire life as a survival strategy. I definitely fell into that victim mindset of all of these things happened to me and it's so unfair. There's so many other people who didn't have to go through this. And, it's so easy to get into that wallowing mindset sometimes. And so I love how this is just that reminder that everyone's going through something. And if they're not going through something, there will be a season where, their lesson comes up and they have to go through their lessons and their growth. And, the more empowered mindset around this is obviously this is our wisdom. This is our deep, 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 well-earned wisdom that we can only have at our fingertips thanks to the challenges and the growth that we've been through in our lifetime and probably many lifetimes. So I work with a lot of healers and I see trends in Chiron placements for healers. And obviously there's many different expressions for each placement. So that's something that you get to explore and feel into, or, if we have a reading, that's something that we can explore together and in translating that into your message. But you're going to have a chance to do that today. So the likelihood is that if you're here wanting to help other people and wanting to make an impact, it's because you've experienced a lot of pain, which has forced you to grow and has allowed you to develop a deep empathy for others and a desire to use what you've been through to make the world a better place. So I'm going to drop the link in the description and also in the email that, was sent out to you with this episode, with a link, with a description for each of the Chiron placements. So once you've identified, you just need to know what sign it's in. And then once you know what sign it's in, you can go to the document that I've sent you look up for whichever placement Chiron is in your chart and look at the interpretation of that, and you're going to find some unique journaling and content prompts there that are going to inspire insights for you to gain that deep level of understanding about this part of your story and to be able to translate that into super powerful, potent, authentic storytelling that will really allow your audience to see you. So some of the overall journaling prompts that I want you to approach this placement around is thinking about what challenges have you grown through that's connected to your work, and what challenges have you grown through in your personal life, and how do these connect with the focus of your work with clients. I want you to look for some of the common themes that stand out for you, and some of the events in your story are probably going to start to bubble up for you. So note them down, and then pay attention to how these aspects of you represent your brand values and what you're trying to do in your mission and vision through your business. And then see what stories this inspires. What stories can you tell to illustrate how you have embodied this transformation? So all of these prompts are in the document for you, and your action step for today is simply to journal for 15 minutes on one or a couple of these prompts, whatever stands out for you, or all of them if you feel like diving in. So remember, you might be in it right now, and I was just crying as I was reading through this and getting ready to tell you about my own interpretation of this placement, because I am in it right now. And as entrepreneurs, so often we're reaching for that next level, right? We're usually very ambitious. We're usually doing a lot of growth work, and we're looking at where we want to go. And we so often lose touch with where we've been. So really the key to making sales and confidently selling a transformation that can help your clients is to really be anchored into what you have been through so far and where you are today and what you embody as a result of all the wisdom and experience and growth and results and successes that you have actually created already. And there's always going to be another level, right? So I first created this training, it was probably a year ago now, when I gave it inside somebody's mastermind, and going back to my notes and revisiting my placement and these journaling prompts, I can already see how it's evolving for me at another level, right? It's always evolving. There's always going to be a new level. There's always going to be a new growth challenge that's going to bring you that next level of skill and embodiment and understanding and clarity and wisdom. So focus on what you've been through, really value those breakthroughs and those shifts and those lessons that you have embodied around these themes, and know that that is your gold. This is really your power. And so leading with these stories and, seeing how they connect to the work that you're doing is just going to help you to illustrate that in a really powerful, authentic, and human way when you tell these kinds of stories in your content. So I'm not going to go through every single one of them. You can see the prompts when you get into the document, but I'm going to walk you through my placement so you can have an example of how to approach your own personal placement. So my Chiron is in Gemini, which is the wound of words. And, if you want another layer to look at your placement, you can look at which house it's in. If you're not familiar with the house systems, that's okay. Just pay attention to the sign for now. But mine is in the 10th house, which is all about my career and business. So the wound of words, Chiron and Gemini, is all about transforming, feeling different from others due to communication and intelligence. And this can show up in an individual's schooling, career, or social self-esteem. So from that little one-liner underneath your Chiron placement, there'll be this description, and that's something that you can just start to reflect and be like, okay, do all of these apply for me? Do some of them apply to me? Are some of them really stand out as kind of big issues that I've dealt with in my life, and some of them less so? You're probably going to see some type of expression in, everything. Maybe not. Maybe there's one area that you're like, oh yeah, it's all about this for me and less about those other things. And then underneath, you're going to see a bunch of prompts. So the prompts for the wound of words, Chiron and Gemini, is where in life have you felt like you weren't listened to or acknowledged? What ways do you most enjoy or are you best at expressing yourself? List all of the unique skills and talents you possess. What desires have I brought to fruition that I'm most proud of? And what do I feel shame, insecurity, or self-judgment about sharing that you're feeling called to share more of in your work and message, or that you feel is an important message that the world or your community or people in your life needs to hear? So this is like my entire business, right? You can see how obviously with this placement in the 10th house, there's more of a heavy expression for me around this on my business. So maybe it won't be such a big expression for you kind of like in your work and in your business, and that's okay. But I'll give you a few examples, right? In reading this and reflecting on this for myself, I can see from the very beginning of entrepreneurship for me, like fear of visibility was really huge. It was so unconscious for me. I didn't even know I had it. It took 2 years to get my first website up. After I did that, I doubled my income 2 years in a row, launched my first coaching business and hit 6 figures within just over 12 months. So it's like the thing that was really hard for me that I turned around, that turned into a lesson, that turned into a skill that I was then, that literally became the foundation of my business that I have now been helping people with for years. Since going through that own growth, I'm really doing a lot of deep work around that for myself, particularly on, I talk a lot about money mindset and the healing that I have done around my relationship with money, and starting to use money mindset tools that really caused me to look at the root of beliefs and feelings around why I was feeling low self-worth and undeserving, and, looking at my childhood and like the abuse that I experienced, like emotional and sexual abuse that I experienced as a child, which really those memories resurfaced as a result of doing this money mindset work when I stepped into entrepreneurship and business. And it was in doing that work that led me to raise my prices and, to shift to the clients that I was focused on working with. And, I obviously, before I was working in film, and I felt really unseen. I felt like, a minority woman on like on set with, which was a 90% male industry. I felt like nobody took me seriously. And when I started my business, I was like, I just want to work with women. And, it was a complete transformation for me from going from feeling really unseen to leading with my creativity, earning more money than I'd ever earned before, having so much freedom, so much fulfillment from, all of those, like being able to shift those patterns and those beliefs that I had around not being worthy, not being seen, not being valued, believing that I wasn't able to earn money using my creativity and that I had to settle for, like working on the film crew side of the creative industries that I was super interested in. So, I got to where I am because of doing all of the healing work around these very painful things that I'd carried with me throughout my entire life. And that's on the business front. On the personal front, this has involved me speaking out in my family about abusive, misogynistic, and oppressive dynamics that have been going on, setting healthy boundaries in personal relationships, and talking about my trauma and healing process around childhood sexual trauma, which, I've been in this very unique situation where my family pretty much stopped talking to me after I shared this with them. And I really felt like I just wasn't seen, I wasn't acknowledged, I wasn't important. And I felt so much pain and grief around that. And the only way for me to meet that need of being acknowledged and being seen was to write about it publicly. And I really do feel like this is just a part of my purpose. I have Pluto and Saturn in Scorpio as well. And I just launched a Substack called Pluto in Scorpio, which is really all about bringing these taboos to light and transforming dark into light and using my pain not only to heal myself and to meet my own needs and to honor myself in everything that I've been through, but, I know that I have this privilege and this unique situation to be able to use my story to help other people where it's so difficult to talk about these things in family dynamics, where it's so culturally taboo and suppressed and oppressed and not valued and not seen as important. And because it doesn't really affect my day-to-day life to deal with the rejection and oppression of my immediate family, because I live in a different country from them, which, obviously happened for a reason. And I know that this is really important to talk about, and I am one of those voices. I'm very fortunate in that I have the therapy support and the social support and the community to support me through this very difficult healing process, and being able to confront this and look at that and, transform my relationship with these, ancient, like, inherited cultural ways that women are oppressed and taken advantage of. And this is something that I'm being a part of the change for, and I'm really passionate about. And it's really just been an impulse. Like, I feel like this is the only place for me to heal the pressure that I feel around this pain that I've been going through. So all of these themes, in some way or another, connect back to the focus of my work with clients. It's all about communication, the wound of words. And that has started with the conversation that I'm having with myself, valuing myself, building a new belief system around, like, the world that I desire to live in, and what I believe is possible for me in my work and in my creativity and in my business and in my capacity to make money in the ways that bring me joy and self-expression, and being able to prioritize my needs and my desires. And, that then leads to conversation with others in making moves to raise my rates, selling high-ticket coaching, sharing my story, messaging, marketing, sales, boundaries for high performance, energy management, intuitive business strategy. Like, this all centers around communication with self, communication with others. And that's really, my gift. That's the thing that I've been obsessed with, understanding and finding healing around, because I didn't have access to that. And, there's been so many situations in my life where I haven't felt seen and I haven't felt heard. And I know that so many other women and clients and people in my community get that. So, this is a big part of my strength and my gift and my skill and embodied wisdom in being able to help others through my storytelling, through my communication, and empowering others to do that for themselves too. So in reflecting on all of this, I'm then able to see, okay, like, what are the key values that I really embody in my brand, that I set out to create in my business, because I wanted a business that brought fulfillment to me. Like, number one value for me is truth and freedom and fun and creativity and self-expression and connection. And, being seen is a big part of that self-expression, and community is, the prerequisite for being able to be seen and to be self-expressed and to be creative and to be able to share the things that I feel compelled to create with other people to create meaning out there in the world. So, these are the values that I make every single decision in my business, everything that I create, every strategy that I choose, every type of client that I focus on helping and supporting and working with, every story that I tell, everything is run through the lens of these brand values. And then you can see obviously how my offers have sprung from that. Big part of my brand is about taking a stand for your truth, supporting clients to create safety when going big and sharing their message. And like, a big theme in my content is understanding that we are the cycle breakers. Processing our trauma and wounds is a big part of the process of self-realization, and a really powerful and important part of our leadership in entrepreneurship. So, and a big part of my message is that, yes, it's a journey, and it's really important to be safely meeting your edges around that. So I'm definitely not saying you can like dive straight from your therapy session onto social media to tell the world about your struggles, even though I'm literally doing that. That's not what it's not right for everybody. Not everybody has their Chiron in 10th house or, some other placement that is so deeply connected to their business and their work. You are able to see your themes and what you've been through your childhood and through your upbringing that have created mindsets and, choice points throughout your life that have really led you to embody the wisdom and the skills that you now help your clients with. So I'm not going to be the person to do what I'm doing right now, which is literally coming on an EMDR session and then going to write a Substack about it. I've put a lot of thought and a lot of time and a lot of feeling and trust in my intuition to develop that content strategy for myself, but it's absolutely not right for everybody. This is really about understanding the deep personal transformation that we are going through in our lifetime. And it's really powerful to understand and highlight the core themes of your work as a leader and why you feel so called to do the work that you're doing and why you are so well equipped to help others because of what you've walked through and the expertise and the wisdom that you have embodied as a result. So there's always a story or an angle that can communicate this in a way that's truthful and vulnerable and honest and not unsafe or overwhelming, or that's going to kick you into resistance or any kind of unmanageable fear around sharing your message. And, I leaned into sharing my story in this way. I didn't just come out with like a massive headline around my childhood sexual trauma. I started to just mention it, and just drop in keywords and suggestions that made it obvious to other people who understand and who relate to what I've been through so that they could feel seen. This isn't about trying to get revenge on my family. This isn't about trying to prove a point. This is really about me following my intuition to talk about something that I deeply believe has value and is important to talk about because it helps the people who read it, because it helps my clients, because it helps other people who are in the many, very, very high numbers, no matter what type of trauma or, struggles that you've been through that have led you to doing the work and following the calling that you're pursuing today. It's about helping other people to feel seen, to feel understood, and to feel that they can trust me, that I'm going to be able to take care of them when they work with me, and I'm going to support them in a way where they can feel safe and where they can feel empowered, where they can feel really freaking courageous to make the moves to create the impact that they're feeling deeply called to make. So you can, meet your edge with what you're talking about, where you're talking about it, and just know that most of the time, only the people who really need to see this are going to see it. I think sometimes we feel like we're shouting to the internet and that there are people who are out there to get us and like reading everything and judging everything. And of course, there are those people, but you may never hear from those people. And the people that you're most likely going to hear from are the people who this really lands with, who it really supports, and who really freaking like want to buy your shit and work with you and be in your world because of who you are, because they deeply resonate with your values, your message, and your mission. So remember, you are always in control of meeting your vulnerability edge. You never have to push or force yourself to share things that you're not ready to talk about publicly. This is really about following your intuition. If you're constantly feeling that nudge to, lean into that topic, to lean into it with like a little more specificity or a little more courage or boldness or loudness or whatever it is that you're feeling you're being called to step into, just play with that and trust that. So your action from the training today is to journal pick one of the prompts, journal for 15 minutes, and just, start to dive into this placement and to gather some insights. And then pay attention to any keywords that crop up in your journaling and circle them and start to make a list of your brand values. And then if any content topics start to stand out to you, make a list of them. And of course, if you feel inspired, go and create some content. So if you're my client and you're listening to this, create a post, send it to me. Let's refine and fine tune it. If you're in the live version of this, drop it in Voxer if you would like my edits and feedback. And if you're not currently in a Voxer space with me, or for any of you who just go right ahead and publish a piece based off these prompts and the insights that have come from this work, please tag me or send it to me so I can show you some love and support. So in training 3, I'm going to share some insights to help you get super clear on the kind of client who is out there looking to buy an offer like yours and how to speak to them in your content. Plus, I'll share the messaging tweaks that take my clients from attracting people who quote unquote can't afford it to the type of people who it's easy to make, up to 5-figure sales into offers with no sales calls, because they're sold. They're sold on who you are, they're sold on your work, and they're sold on the offer. So definitely make sure you create some time to tune into that. And I can't wait to hear about your breakthroughs and insights. Keep going. I'm celebrating you for being here and doing this work, and I'm sending you so much love. Bye. For more inspirational content, head over to my website withsarahmac.com, and please support the show by liking, commenting, and subscribing.